Hobbies. We all have them, or at least think about having them. They provide stress relief, creative expression, community, and a way to decompress from our daily routines. While some think of hobbies as a way to kill time or a way to keep busy, others take it to the extreme, becoming masters of their craft, motivated solely by passion. This is their story. This is The Hobbyist.
Humans on the line for the enjoyment of both you, the audience, and our robot ancestors and overlords who look over and watch everything we do. And they're going to be assigning us laughter points. If we reach 5,000 laughter points, we don't die! Yeah! And we got a stack cast. Laura, Kyle, Jesse, Kate,
This is Improv.
Hi, I'm Andy Reid.
And I'm Devin Rosenai.
My name is Chris Fortin.
Jared Simard.
Joe Anderson.
Sean Francis.
Kristen Hirsch.
Ben Wilkie.
And we're professional improvisers.
I have been in the Detroit improv scene for about 8 years now.
I was looking for something to do outside of work, and I stepped in here and kind of never left. They couldn't get me out of the building.
And I also have never left, and that was like 4 or 5 years ago.
I am on the farm team at Planet Ant. I am on the launch group here at Go Comedy called The Bureau.
I am a regular performer at the Comedy Project.
I do something that most people, it's their worst nightmare, and I do it for fun.
I'm the events manager at the Comedy Project and the programming manager. Keep those casts in line.
Once you're in improv long enough, you start wearing a lot of hats.
Okay, this is great, but can we just take a step back for a second? What is improv?
Improvisational theater. Improv.
That's some inside lingo.
Yeah, that's what we call it. It is a form of theater where people make it up right off the top of their heads.
It's like, what if you went to go see a play, but they, that night, forgot the script, but they also forgot the costumes, and they also forgot to put the set up.
So we throw the script out. We say, writing is for suckers. And we make it up.
Oh, okay. Well, how do people get started?
About 10 years ago, after my first son was born, I was just looking for something to do that felt like I could do it alone.
I had never performed before, other than church plays, I guess.
My cousin, who had lived in Grand Rapids when I was growing up, and I lived in Muskegon, moved out to Chicago, and he got this internship at Second City, and I would go to visit him. I remember walking into that place and it feeling like what I thought people must feel like when they walk into church.
I think I just wanted to do comedy, and I had no idea how to dip my foot into it at all.
I remember having a conversation. I was like, I feel like I'm funny, but I feel like a lot of times I'm funny like just like in the moment. And she's like, oh, like improv, and I was like, what's that?
I was living in California at the time, and there were a couple different improv theaters.
And signed up for an Intro 1 class at Go Comedy without ever having set foot in these doors.
So I ended up taking a class at Comedy Sports.
And that was about 8 years ago, and I never stopped.
Kept going, I haven't looked back.
Oh, this is it. I've been trying to figure this out my whole life. This is what I want to do.
I got really involved almost immediately.
I did always have it in my mind that it could be work.
6-ish months into doing it, I just started, coming to the theater and, seeing a couple shows a week.
So you're taking classes, performing, and going to shows?
How many hours a week I spend doing improv? Too many.
I'm here at the theater probably at least 3 to 4 nights a week.
Let's say I do 6 on Sunday.
15, maybe 15 hours.
15 hours a week?
Ballpark 20 total.
You have not just the nights you're doing shows, you have the nights of your rehearsals, the nights of your classes, whether you're taking them or teaching them. the nights where you're meeting with your writing group, the nights where you're going to see shows, because of course you have to see your friends' shows.
Improv it's like a super hobby in a way.
It's healthy to have a life outside of improv.
I think I understand improv, but with all of your experience, can you tell me what makes it good?
I think good improv to me is improv that
Okay, good improv to me is
comedy, connection, reality, and fantasy.
Two people or more that are listening to one another, and they have made a strong choice of a character or a type of person, and they are taking the information their scene partner has given them, they're putting it through the filter of the choice that they've made as that character, and they're giving it back in an honest way.
a scene starts and you have this kernel of a scene. What makes it good is,
like being present, being in the moment, listening.
I think it's obviously with anything artistic, it can be subjective.
And then adding more onto it. And what they're adding is something the other improviser can't add.
You have to be hyper aware, you have to be listening to your partner, and you can't deny what they're giving you.
The people doing it are like having fun. You can just tell that they're like having a great time. They're in that moment. They're like building this world together.
I definitely skew grounded, relatable.
I know good improv when I see it, but to describe what it is...
While we let Jared marinate, let's move into a segment I like to call The History of Hobbies. Improv Edition. Featuring Andy Reid and Devin Rosenai of Planet Ant.
So we take you to 391 BC.
For context, this is 400 years before Jesus.
These Italian folks are like, what if we put on a mask and improvise in the streets? Wouldn't that be really funny to everybody?
Italians are looking around and they're saying, we don't have TV to watch. Almost nobody can read yet.
They do farcical improv in the streets with masks. And everyone goes nuts. All these Italians are going freaking hog wild.
Oh my God, there's something for me to look at.
It's so funny. Everyone's got masks on and they're doing behavior.
Life is so boring on a micro level right now. I can finally talk about something because these people are pretending in masks in the streets.
Playwrights and directors like develop these stock characters that they kind of use that they can return to. These are the ones that are working.
These guys, they got Dawsonus, the humpback crafty cheat.
And he's walking around being like, oh, my back is so lumpy, and I'm cheating everybody out of everything.
But in a crafty way.
And then we got this fella, this Hercules fella, he's like a money collector, and he's going around being like, give me a couple bucks, give me a couple bucks.
I display them at home.
I put them on my shelves and whatever, and everyone come look at my collection of money.
So then the Romans are like, that was so funny that we can't do that for like 400 years. Let's put a pause on that. That's it for improv for a while. Until 1st century BC, it's coming back around, repopularizing, but this Emperor Tiberius, he's like, F this. People are laughing, but I'm not laughing, and if I'm not laughing, it must not be good because other people can't be smarter than me.
He collects all these senators. He's like, senators, you've got to intervene and do something about this improv stuff.
Senators, we can't let people have fun in the streets.
So the senators, what do?
Banish them.
Get out of here, they're saying.
If you're going to be rude to our boss, the emperor, so for 1600 years, it was...
We lost
pretending.
It was gone.
Pretending was a thing of the past.
So one day an Italian guy shot out of bed and said, what if improv's an IP that we can reboot?
Yeah.
And he was like, I'll call it Commedia dell'arte. Same thing, out in the streets with masks and all these improvisers being like, look at me, I'm pantomiming.
I'm doing this. I'm like, whoa, whoa.
Whatever, but now all of this, I mean, that we give this credit for all the stuff that, happens now in improv.
Thank you.
So this takes us to the mid-20th century. Viola Spolin
Spolin. We're talking Mount Rushmore of improvisers here, folks.
She starts doing these game workshops and working with the Compass Players, which is the country's first improvisational acting company, which is founded by David Shepard and her son, Paul Sills. And they're the first professional improvisational acting troupe.
And these guys are like, what if theater was fun?
Take a load off.
Take a load off. David Shepard says, I want to create theater that would drag people off the street and seat them not in rows but at tables and give them something to drink. take a load off. Everybody's so serious about in theater right now.
And that takes us right into 1959. After the end of the Compass Players, Paul Sills and some friends founded a little theater called Second City.
And shortly after that, they started their first training center. So they're now teaching performers and artists some of these techniques that they had developed.
And it worked because of that program and workshop, we get all the original SNL people.
Everybody, you're talking Chevy.
You're talking Gilda.
You're talking Belushi.
You're talking Jane Curtin.
Dr. Bill Murray.
So the whole original gang.
The list goes on and on. For decades, 70s, 80s, 90s, Second City is the driving force behind American comedy voice.
Where's improv today?
Everywhere, baby.
It is everywhere.
Name a city.
New York.
It's there.
Holy crap. Los Angeles.
There for sure. Bustling improv communities in Denver and Austin, Texas, and here in Detroit. I've been able to perform in festivals in Pittsburgh and Baltimore and Chicago and Omaha. It's taught across the world.
And all over the world is right. The list of improvisational theaters Wikipedia page lists over 100 theaters in North America alone, which doesn't even include local community spots. People from all walks of life are diving into this, but so far we've only met people who chose to. I'm curious, and I want to know more about the folks who are thrown into it without a passion or deep calling to the craft. That's why we're sitting down with Decky Alexander, a professor at Eastern Michigan University who regularly teaches improv for non-majors, focused in the concept of improv for life.
My name is Jessica Decky Alexander, and I am a professor in applied drama and theater, and I teach improvisation and have for 15-20 years. So I practice, and I was trained as an improvisational performer. A majority of my students at Eastern who take improvisation, past and present, come from all walks of disciplinary life, but I probably take it from the paradigm of life skills so that it can sort of breathe and filter out to all of these other people who engage in the moment of possibility. When I sort of distill improvisation down, it's just about the practice of living more fully in a moment and deeply in a moment. And what's the criteria? What are the variables? What are the structures that allow one individually or collectively to live more in a moment? And by living more in a moment, there's so much more possible if you're in the moments you're in, right? You see birds that you never knew were there. You listen to your breath. You may meet somebody and connect with somebody and marry that person if you're in the moment fully. What do I hope the students on this class, this semester, 2022, 2.5 years into COVID, I hope they get community, like real community, and hope.
Following her interview, Decky brought us to her improvisation class, which meets for 3 hours every Tuesday night on EMU's campus. When meeting with the students, it was clear what some of them expected to get out of the course.
I really wanted to take it because I teach a huge improv unit for my 7th grade drama class.
Others, not so much.
I took this class because I had to.
So this is my last semester at Eastern, and I needed to take one more communication credit. The class that I needed was not offered at the time.
I saw this in like the catalog, and I was like, this looks cool.
So I was like, great, I have to take improv. That sucks.
My initial impression of the class was kind of weird.
What the f is going on?
It's a lot to be asked to like get up in front of people that you don't know and just do things. I'm just a very nervous person overall. Like I'm the type, if I'm gonna call and order pizza, I'm gonna practice before.
I didn't want to join in anything. I didn't want to do anything.
I haven't performed. I don't really like performing.
I was just thinking improv. You go up there and do it. Just think of the first thing that comes off your head.
I've never thought about doing improv, never wanted to do improv.
And especially the intimidation knowing that there's graduate students who are focused in acting. I was like, wow, feeling a little vulnerable.
While many of the students expressed their initial concerns and reservations, the narrative started to spin pretty quickly.
Like doing anything in this class, like It's all about comfort, and I think that personally the class builds a lot of comfort.
I think especially after being over Zoom for 2 years with COVID, it's just a really great opportunity to like get yourself out there and like get yourself to be social again.
It was a lot friendlier than I imagined.
We are all being idiots together right now, and it's totally okay.
Just being able to see everyone and like get to know everyone's personalities, because I think it helps not only me but like everyone else like come out of their shells a little bit more.
I feel like for me it's helping me find my joy in every moment instead of being focused on the tasks, the objectives, and how it should be done.
I have learned so much.
Improv is a lot deeper than I thought it was.
There's a lot from this class that can be taken in order to be a teacher.
I take essentially everything we do in class and then I modify it a little bit for my 12-year-olds.
I can use that when I'm directing with my cast. I can use that to assess myself.
If I'm having a meeting with people that feel like they are better than me or have more experience than me, I feel more confident and like, I can do this.
Learning things, but I'm like doing it in a way that allows me to like not have to worry about it almost.
After just like a couple weeks, I was approached with an opportunity to like try out for our own little improv troupe for like a small show. And what really led me to actually like even trying in the first place was that it was for kids, and that's so up my alley. I never thought I'd do anything like that, and it has pushed me so far out of my comfort zone. I've met people that I love and like can't wait to spend more time with.
I don't have a social circle outside of improv.
Most of my friends are performers.
Most of my close friends now and going pretty far back are in my improv sketch world.
Immediately when you meet someone who does improv, it's like stand-up comedians, it's like it's a bond. It's like that person's been through some of the stuff you've been through.
Improv friends tend to we're all interested in building each other up and making the whole thing feel fun.
Improvisers are competitively funny all the time.
Improv people are so fun because you can just banter just for so long.
When I hang out with other groups of friends, no one's trying, hey, that's funny, let me make it funnier. People tend to drive a bit as far as it can possibly go, and that's really fun, and I like that a lot, and that's a great part of the community.
In the world of improv, there are a couple of different ways you can make it on stage. First is through a resident house team, typically cast by a standing theater such as Planet Ann or Go Comedy in Detroit. Folks audition in hopes of joining a wonderfully diverse range of improvisers.
Only a couple times been in the situation where I didn't already know the people involved in a group.
Figuring out your form and your art together, you're figuring out each other. So you have to understand how they play, they have to understand how you play. And part of that is okay, well, how do you behave? How do I behave? How do our behaviors interact?
Many opt to form groups within their close friends or class circles, where they march to the beat of their own drum and function off of their own agenda. Today, we're chatting with two Michigan-based troupes to discuss what it means to operate independently in this creative outlet.
Hi, I'm Biko.
I'm Selwan.
Ezra.
I'm Evan.
I am Jake, and we are Tiny Breakfast.
I'm Josh Heller.
And I'm Sean McGinnity.
And we are Plant Parenthood.
That's right.
Years and years and years ago, back in, I think it would be 2009 or 10, Ezra and I here went to the same high school, and we both auditioned for our high school improv team.
And then I went on to go to Hope College, where I met Jake.
I think we literally met outside the smokers circle, outside the theater on a Monday night.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
And we pulled together Tiny Breakfast.
I recruited
Cameron,
you.
Rest in peace.
I said, you're beautiful, you're a vegetarian, you're on my improv team.
Thank you. That's all I needed to join.
I think our very first practice, we all kind of hit it. I remember going home, we carpooled together, and I remember giggling and how much fun we had. It just felt organic, like we had known each other for a while.
We have a set time that we meet every single week. We talk about future prospects, about maybe shows we're doing or ideas that we want to have for that.
There was nothing for us, so we had to make the little corner that we got.
Yep.
With a house team, it's they're representing the theater. Versus us, it's we only represent ourselves. You start to really understand what's going on in the minds of your fellow performers.
One of the things is we got to do whatever we wanted, which was positive, but the negative was we weren't guaranteed stage time and would beg for 10 minutes a month. Because nobody was saying what we were doing, we could do anything. So we made videos, and we made a local meme page, and we made stickers of the state of Michigan smoking a bong, and we, house teams don't necessarily do all those things.
Performing for others and bringing people together to laugh can build friendships outside of myself. That's building a community outside of our own community because we might not know them.
To be able to do that for others, it's a two-way street. I have a benefit because it's a release on my end, but then seeing people laughing, getting that instant gratification, I think it's a two-way street, and there's a lot of love there. So like that's what Tiny Breakfast does for me.
Joining an improv troupe, joining an improv comedy scene, seeing improv, bringing it into your life. There's just ways that it helps you as a person, helps you function with other people, helps you feel like you're part of a group.
Improv training and improv performance has helped me, a person who has no end to their social anxiety, to feel like they have the tools to deal with that.
We've got a variety of forms. I think that we had originally started, what was the name of the original form that we had kind of built off?
Definitely eventually got to working as Spokane.
That's what it was, yeah. Like Spokes and Spokane, Washington.
We did I want to say Grand Rapids Improv Festival. The crowd was there for a pool bar night.
Oh, was that?
Ironwell?
Yeah, we were
booked.
booked.
And they were there for a pool tournament, and we were there to perform improvised comedy, and those two worlds did not mesh.
The bar area had the pool tournament in between the stage, so the audience
the
members
pool.
were walking back and forth
Yeah.
while these people were setting up there, and they were so angry.
That is our worst performance, but it's something we talk about once every 18 days as a group because there's so many funny moments when you look back, but we were just sad and down because it was bombing in real time. Like you knew that the night was gonna go.
It was like a
poorly.
really, really slow car crash.
I think my real favorite memory of performing with Planned Parenthood is going to the Detroit Improv Festival, where Sean told me that it was a good idea to get the blood flowing before we went on stage by doing as many squats as we could. And then I couldn't move my legs for our set.
I am always very nervous, and if my adrenaline's going, if my body's ready for fight or flight, then I can perform.
One of the most recent ones we did was here. We get the suggestion of like what's a problem in a town, and we took mudslide.
We were at the Grand Rapids Improv Festival, and the venue was a bar, and it was this weird, we were our back to the balcony.
The whole musical is about mudslides, but in the opening scene, I believe Sal said, like, where are all the kids?
Everybody sitting at weird tables, and we were pretending to be secretaries or something. Just, we talk like this.
The celebration of the mudslides.
Because the concept is they have to dig a hole.
Yeah, it all sounds dumb out of context. But a lot of good times being fake people, and sometimes people laugh.
If you're worried about joining improv, you should know that you can eventually have a lot of like fuzzy memories about it too.
As a team, like we want to be doing bigger venues, and to do that, we need more people to know about us.
We lucked into our reach extending beyond the theater.
That's true. That's true.
So my mom always tells me, I met someone and they know your meme page, but she's never said to me, I met someone and they know your theater group.
Maybe, hopefully, like try out a tour or something sometime. Maybe I'd just spring that on you guys, but
No,
that's
absolutely.
kind of what I'm thinking.
Touring, and one vision I have for us too is bringing improv for people who have never heard of improv.
We worked together at a summer camp, and part of one of the responsibilities as counselors was doing a workshop. For every single session, there would be 3 to 5 kids that would be so into it, and it was just, they were from 8 to 13. And I would love to be able to, sharing it like that and growing like that. Just sharing improv in any avenue that I can is really great.
Let's address an elephant in the room. Improv is a lot of white dudes. To performers and educators of the craft, improv is often seen as a way to escape our everyday lives into a nearly rule-free world filled with endless possibilities. The signature yes and rule is the idea that no matter what idea your partner offers, you must agree and accept that information. Many players argue that improv is apolitical, with no agenda distracting them from their purely spontaneous responses. However, in a world where our internalized racism, sexism, homophobia, and xenophobia becomes more apparent with each day, it is important to acknowledge that our greater truths are often tainted by outdated belief systems and internalized biases. While improvisation is predominantly white, there are amazingly talented and diverse groups across the country practicing this craft. The Black version is an all-Black improv troupe that focuses on reframing stereotypes in a comedic and engaging way. In the Midwest, you can catch Improniol performing across the region, a duo where one player speaks in Spanish and the other in English. However you're performing, the social and communal benefits of improv couldn't be more apparent. While it's a great way to make friends, there is a hefty commitment and expectation that's tied to your experience.
Joining a new theater or troupe or kind of scene, I think that you can get involved immediately, and then beyond that, it can really vary. If you're not at theaters 5 days a week and it's, a hobby that you do keep to one night or 2 nights, that type of schedule, maybe someone it takes 2 years to really integrate themselves.
No matter how much time you've put in at a theater, you'll start fresh anytime you relocate. Today, we're meeting up with Haley Dallion and Logan Monson, 2 regular performers from the Grand Rapids area that recently moved across the state. They're hoping that an open jam hosted by Planet Ant will be their perfect in as new improvisers in the city.
So you're in the metro now, metro area, as they say, or the D, I don't know, what do you want to call it?
Not really. I'm in Rochester Hills, and I don't know where anything is around here. You say you're in Ypsilanti, right?
Yeah, I live in Ypsilanti. I grew up on the east side, so it's pretty comfortable for me, but I haven't found a home theater at all, and I've been thinking about student improv groups or student theater groups because I'm at the University of Michigan, and even that feels like a really big leap.
That almost seems harder when you're in school and you're doing it. It feels like you're like, oh, we have this thing in common, right? We have to get along.
Right, and now I feel like an old student almost, being a grad student, and so that's another barrier of finding your place in a community and in a group, on top of improv feeling like this insiders club.
With improv, more than anything else, you're not gonna, a lot of performing, you'll find a connection with people, and it's really cool. With improv, you need that connection.
Yeah, to make a scene go successful.
You're not gonna get anywhere without it. When you're in a scene with someone in improv, you're like, we have to be friends. You're my friend.
Or you at least have to sell it, right? Because you're forming a whole new relationship, a fake relationship in improv. So why not have that propel a real world friendship? I feel like that's often how it's formed.
That's why we're so close. Why are you laughing?
Almost. I think we're at the formation stage. It's funny to admit that the inertia and the barrier to drive 10 minutes or even a half hour to go to a theater for the first time, to me feels like such a bigger lift than me driving 2 hours to go back to Grand Rapids for a Monday night comp. I'm doing that more often even now than researching or seeking out new community, right?
We both spent a lot of time there doing stuff. So and it became kind of my happy place. And I have roots there with people I know, but they're not particularly strong. I guess I'm just trying to find a place where I can fit in. We're gonna be performing tonight, and we're probably gonna be pretty rusty.
You say that, I'm like, oh shoot, we're performing tonight.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a funny thing. We don't know each other super well, but knowing that you're from the West Side and that you're here, you're a better in for me, I feel like, to join a theater here, in my mind, than going alone. I don't know completely what to expect tonight with Barprov, but I'm thinking it is a casual drop-in environment that you're allowed to go there knowing nobody, which obviously is the case for us.
Yeah.
And so hopefully that breaks the ice a little bit, right? No expectations, and hopefully they'll welcome us with open arms.
I hope this gives me a good foot in the door to join the community at Barprov and just Planet Ant in general. We don't have to be freaked out.
Nothing to lose, and hopefully something to gain.
You keep telling yourself.
Sounds like you need to tell yourself that.
Barprov happens every Wednesday night. Hosted by the members of the Planet Ant Farm team, it's an open jam designed to invite a crowd of mostly improvisers on stage to play. It's a low-stakes opportunity to have a beer, have some laughs, and familiarize with the local community.
Oh! Are you performers?
Yeah.
Oh, improv?
Yeah.
Sure. Whoa. Okay. You're in the right place. So this works like an open mic. We have a sign-up sheet in the back.
While Haley and Logan were very excited to be there was some hesitancy to hop on stage to play. They observed for a while before mustering up the courage to join an open play, where anyone was welcomed on stage. The two kept their distance, hanging onto the wings until Haley was given an opportunity.
Michael, we have to talk.
And she delivered.
I'm a DARE officer, and I'm here to tell you that what you're doing is whack, just like crack, and you're on the track to go back to prison.
It completely changed her energy, and not long after, it was the Hobbyist's turn to play. Here's a brief recap of what happened.
I'm Haley, and this is...
I'm Logan.
Yeah, and we are improvisers. It's our favorite hobby. We're from Grand Rapids, sort of. Yeah, and we're here now to play with you guys. So we would love some friends to join us on stage.
I'm so happy to have friends.
In terms of a suggestion from the audience, the first word that comes to your mind, what is it? I didn't hear any of that. Treehouse. Did you hear treehouse?
I heard raccoons.
Raccoons in a treehouse. These damn vermin. What are we gonna do?
Trying to ask me what I'm trying to do about these raccoons.
What did I say?
You can't talk to them. You can't reason with them, Carl. They're vermin.
This is not the situation that we...
Oh, I thought you were the raccoon.
No.
Should we put a treaty together? Maybe we can reason with them. Oh,
The
no.
raccoons put their hands in the load.
We don't want to hurt them, Carl.
They couldn't get it hurted them.
Wait, it did hurt it in them, or it didn't hurt it in them?
It done did went and hurt
It done didn't went and hurt it did it on them? Oh,
Yeah.
darn.
Yeah. You like your little hands, little hand paws?
Sunflower seeds, and you will sign on the dotted line for the seeds.
Do you have a pen? Give her a taste. Make sure she knows it's the real deal. You mean to tell me you got some sort of problem with my sunflower seed harvesting abilities?
We're almost to a resolution, Carl. Please don't explode the situation.
I don't do that. I don't explode. Do I even need to say it?
We will divide the yard, okay? You can have that side and we'll have this side, but please don't go after the children, all right? No, you can't have the children!
He can't have the children. He signed.
She can't have the children. She signed too.
Did you sign? I wasn't paying attention.
No, she signed. She got a taste and then she signed and she loved it. She can't have the children.
Let me see.
I thought you had the document.
What the hell are you holding?
I'm holding the seeds. I'm holding the collateral, Carl.
When the night ended, I pulled our improv transplants aside to discuss their experience.
Well, from my experience, shut up! I can do this.
As you can see, they had a blast.
At first, I felt myself freezing on stage momentarily. Couldn't find the words until a stranger, scene partner, gave my character an opportunity to step into the limelight, and then the words came to me and I felt like I had this new energy as a DARE officer, and at that moment, I knew that it was okay being on stage, and I felt really welcomed.
I kind of had the same thing where I was a little freaked out, a little bit jittery at first, but once you get like a few laughs, you're like, okay, I got like the gist. I can still improvise.
After this one experience, I really feel empowered to come back on Wednesdays and to come to Planet Ant. It was a great experience, and I'm glad that this project pushed us to come here in a new community.
I'll probably be coming back every Wednesday that I can make it, because it's exciting, it's a welcome environment.
Sounds like Barprov was a success. The comedy project must have trained them well. Founded by local comedians with funding from the local community, the Comedy Project opened its doors in 2019 and has been serving up sketch, improv, and stand-up ever since. We sat down to chat with their staff about their journey in building this place from the ground up, literally.
I am the artistic director of a place called The Comedy Project in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and we are an improv and sketch comedy theater.
I am one of the co-founders here at the Comedy Project, and I am the marketing director and a performer and a server on Friday nights, and we all wear many hats here at the theater.
So I was touring around, and I had a couple friends, one out in Portland, Oregon, and one in New York, and actually one in Austin. And they all had comedy theaters, and when I was on tour, I would get to go to them, whether it was for a festival or something, and I just, I loved it, and I was like, man, I wish Grand Rapids had something. And then Grand Rapids went through, and it continues to go through a lot of changes. And about 10 years ago, it just started seeming like, man, I think Grand Rapids could do this. I think Grand Rapids could support a place.
I met Joe at a place called Spring Hill Camps in up north Michigan. He was doing some BMX counseling, and I was area director, and we just kind of met, and I was doing some fun improv for a weekend show up there, and Joe was like, oh, I do improv. We started talking about like when I was thinking about moving to Grand Rapids, doing shows together, and he was involved with Dog Story Theater at the time, so we started to do improv over there, and we had a really successful run of this show called the VIP Show on Mondays, where we'd interview like local celebrities and then redo their life on stage. And we're just like, man, if this can work on a Monday night, it can probably work every weekend all the time.
So we started talking about how that might happen.
We started a Kickstarter and involved everybody funny and fun that we knew to kind of be a part of it, and that was a huge support, and we raised that money like super fast.
Just the community was real supportive. I mean, the comedy community in general, but the community of Grand Rapids was very supportive, which again, I think was just proof that like, yeah, Grand Rapids was ready. Grand Rapids wanted something like this.
And it was just kind of a like, hey, there's not only people that want to see the shows, but there's a community here for you when you start this. So that's how we kind of, started the theater, and that's a short version of a very long story.
The community got excited, like really excited.
If you've ever wanted to try your hand at becoming a comedian, now's your chance. There is a brand new venue opening in Grand Rapids called The Comedy Project.
Welcome back. Hey, if you're a fan of comedy shows and you've been missing that live experience, listen up.
Ever wish you had a little more laughter in your life? Of course you do.
You could probably use a really good laugh right about now.
Amen to that. Join us this morning, Joe Anderson from The Comedy Project.
You get it.
It kind of boggled my mind how different it was to have a place, to have a brick and mortar place. The building I felt like had to be cooler, and the service had to be cool and good, and the shows had to be good, because we needed people to not only come to shows, but to tell other people to come to shows and to come back to shows, because we had this big chunk of money that we had to pay. So when we were building this place, like nothing was here, and so there were, really there's like about a half dozen of us, with a little bit of rotation of that's who that six would be, who did everything from drywall, electrical stuff. At one point we had to put in 300 cinder blocks. We often would joke about, I don't know, building something here, or taking out the garbage, and we just say to one another, we're really doing it. We're doing comedy.
It's Friday night, which means the weekly short-form improv show is on at 10. However, this week is a bit special. Lovingly referred to as homecoming by the cast members, several improvisers who have since left the Grand Rapids area are home to play for the evening.
So, we got slogans as everybody. Foursquare is gonna be Katie, Sydney, Jesse, and Josh. Cool. Sing it's gonna be Katie and Sydney. Yeah! Inanimate object is going to be Josh and Laura, with Ben is the voice.
Okay. I think the Comedy Project really, at its heart, feels like a family first. To me, it feels like I'm just here with people I care about so much on a different level, and then I also get to have fun with them, and so to me it just feels like there's this base of we care about each other, and we're here for each other, and then we're also just friends who get to do these awesome fun things together.
The Comedy Project is the only theater that I've really week after week after week played at. Other theaters, this theater is a comedy theater. It's good that there is a through line. Whatever night of the week you come to see a show, it's going to be comedy.
Improv is just joy. I can't imagine a world without it. It is my joy. When I get up there on stage and we're creating something, it's just so much fun because I have no idea where it's going. We are on a ride. Let's not judge it. Let's not worry about it. Let's just have a goddamn good time while we're doing it.
I think that I just get, just like this sense of like community and really honestly just being around people that get me.
What do I get out of improv? I definitely, for a little while, was one of the people where I'm like, I could do this. This is something that I could do. I held off buying a house because I'm like, no, I'm gonna move to Chicago. But what I get out of it now is community.
I mean, it's not always just to make people laugh, although that's ultimately usually at least one of the main ones.
I don't know. I think there's a big enough audience and performer base in Detroit to really create good comedy.
One of the things about all the money that you make doing improv.
I'm filthy stinking rich, and it's all through improv.
Filthy stinking rich.
I'm improv rich, which of course means rich of spirit and friendship.
It's made me and kept me very self-aware.
Everything that is going through my head that day, I kind of just set it aside.
It helps you in so many things outside of like regular improv, right? Like, things don't throw you off as much because you've already been in a situation that is extremely vulnerable on stage, and you've managed through it because you have a team and a support system.
I taught his first improv class, and now we're best friends.
Now we're best friends.
I met my wife through improv. I changed my
I met his wife through improv.
I met my wife through improv.
I don't mean to be like this sort of altruistic kind of person, but I really believe in the power of theater and improvisation to create community and hope for how people can better engage with each other, act with each other, be with each other.
Everybody's constantly protecting themselves from something.
The thing it's done for me most is just remember like how to play. There's this, I don't do that kind of thing anymore. It's never said, it's never really spoken, but you can see it happen. You can see it when you're around a group of people that aren't used to having someone spontaneous around, and they're just kind of like, whoa, oh, the normal's being interrupted.
I get to tell lots of stories. I get to embody ideas and people that often I don't agree with.
If anybody's watching this who has never done an improv class, it should be on your bucket list. Even just to find out that you hate it. It's just one of those things.
100% yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Go for it. It's a great idea.
I would definitely say yes.
I would do it.
100% yes.
I would tell them just to try it. You know, sign up for a class. Nothing bad is gonna happen.
I would say do it. Find whatever your local improv theater is and check out a show and see if they have, whether it's classes or jam.
Do it.
Do it.
Go. Absolutely do it.
Absolutely, yeah.
If they're thinking about doing some improv, then I would say, yeah, go for it. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah, what do you think is gonna happen, huh? What, are you scared? You know what'll help you get over the fear of an improv class? Go take an improv class.
It's really great to be able to have like a pretty major creative outlet.
No, improv's good. You should do improv.
I wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for improv and for theater, in a very good way.
Because it rocks. Improv will change your life.
And there you have it. Now get out there and play, and we'll see you next time on The Hobbyist.
It smells like tequila. It does. And sweat.
For some reason, the bartenders thought this was annoying.
No Rugrats, no stuff that you like to do. You would not have Rugrats if these guys and folks had not come up with this.
I'll do a visual contract. I give up my likeness in perpetuity. Sydney the Sea Witch owns my voice.
Good improv is honest improv. No, that's...
I don't think so. No, I don't put anything else in for me.
And we started to do the research, like boring stuff like, what's the median age in Grand Rapids and how is the census going up?
I don't know if that actually answers your question. You can cut. Cut.
I turned
Big
21 in
difference.
April. Do you want to come to London and get drunk with me and my dad?
That's getting cut.
Yeah, we're gonna talk a lot, and then 30 seconds are gonna be in the thing. So
Okay.
I think we don't have to worry about it.
Cool.
No one's going to watch this interview.